Power generation in Israel is a national security issue, not just a utility service. So here's the question. How does Israel keep the lights on for homes, businesses, and heavy industry while transitioning away from coal and toward cleaner energy? Stay with me as I break down exactly how Israel generates electricity. Israel's power system is unlike most countries in the world. Israel is what energy experts call an electricity island. There are no permanent power connections to neighboring countries, no backup imports, no shared regional grid. Every single unit of electricity must be generated, balanced, and protected inside the country. That reality shapes everything. In 2024, Israel produced nearly 80 terawatt-hours of electricity, the highest level in its history, and demand keeps rising. High-tech companies, artificial intelligence, massive data centers, water desalination plants, and a fast-growing population. Electricity in Israel isn't optional, it is strategic infrastructure. And to understand how this system works, we first need to look at who actually runs Israel's power network. For decades, electricity in Israel was controlled by a single company, the Israel Electric Corporation, or IEC. It generated power, it owned the power stations, it controlled the transmission lines, and it delivered electricity to homes and businesses. That changed in 2018. Israel launched a major electricity sector reform designed to break the monopoly, at least in power generation. Today, Israel operates a hybrid electricity market. The IEC still owns and operates the national grid. That includes transmission lines and local distribution networks. But power generation is now shared. Private companies, known as independent power producers, compete with the IEC. Companies like OPC Energy, Dahlia Power, and Enlight operate gas, solar, and wind plants across the country. To keep the system stable, Israel created a separate system operator called NOGA. NOGA balances supply and demand in real time. It decides which power plants run and when. This structure spreads risk. Instead of relying on a few massive stations, electricity now comes from dozens of sites. That makes the grid cheaper, more flexible, and far more resilient during conflict or emergencies. But none of this works without fuel, and that fuel is natural gas. Natural gas is the foundation of Israel's modern power system. Today, it generates nearly 70% of all electricity in the country. This was not always the case. Before 2010, Israel relied heavily on imported coal and oil. Everything changed with offshore gas discoveries in the Mediterranean. The first major field was Tamar. It became the backbone of domestic electricity supply and remains a critical safety net during periods of conflict. Then came Leviathan, the largest gas field in Israeli waters. Leviathan supplies Israeli power stations and exports gas to Egypt and Jordan, tying electricity production directly to regional stability. The third major player is Karish. Karish uses a floating production vessel known as an FPSO located far offshore. Its gas feeds mainly private power plants under long-term contracts. Together, these fields transformed Israel from an energy importer into an energy-secure state. Natural gas provides something renewables cannot yet guarantee on their own: stable, around-the-clock power. It supports solar during the night, wind during calm periods, and it enables Israel to working on shutting down coal plants. In Israel's energy transition, gas is not the enemy of renewables. It is the system that makes renewables possible. For decades, coal powered Israel's electricity system. At its peak, coal generated more than 60% of all electricity in the country. That era is now ending. Israel has committed to eliminating coal entirely. The transition centers on two massive coastal power stations, Orot Rabin in Hadera and Rutenburg in Ashkelon. At Orot Rabin, older coal units are being permanently shut down. They are being replaced with modern combined cycle gas turbines. These new units are far more efficient. They produce significantly fewer emissions, and they can ramp power up or down quickly to support renewables. New gas units at Orot Rabin entered commercial operation, securing baseload power as coal exits the system. In Ashkelon, the Rutenburg station is undergoing a similar transformation. Coal boilers are being converted to burn natural gas. This requires new pipelines, pressure reduction stations, and offshore gas connections. The result is cleaner air for surrounding communities and far greater energy independence. Coal is disappearing, but reliable power remains. If natural gas is the backbone of Israel's grid, solar power is its future. Israel has no major rivers for hydroelectric dams, but it has one powerful advantage: sun. Solar energy is expected to deliver 90% of Israel's renewable electricity by 2030. The centerpiece of this strategy is the Ashalim complex in the Negev desert. Ashalim combines three different solar technologies at one location. First, a solar power tower. Thousands of mirrors reflect sunlight onto a single point at the top of a tower. The heat creates steam that spins a turbine, just like a conventional power plant. Second, parabolic trough systems. Long, curved mirrors heat a thermal fluid, which is stored in molten salt. This allows the plant to generate electricity even after sunset. And third, standard photovoltaic panels. Simple, low cost, and highly efficient. Over time, solar panels became dramatically cheaper. What once cost over 20 cents per kilowatt hour now costs just a few cents. This cost collapse is why photovoltaic solar now dominates Israel's renewable expansion. Land is scarce in Israel. That forced engineers to get creative. One solution is floating solar power. Instead of covering land, solar panels float on water reservoirs. At sites like Mayan Sfi, panels generate electricity while reducing water evaporation. Some systems even track the sun without motors, using controlled buoyancy to tilt the panels. Another innovation is agrivoltaics. It combines farming and solar power on the same land. Solar panels are raised high enough for crops to grow underneath. At pilot sites in southern Israel, crops stay cooler and retain moisture longer. Water use drops, yields stay stable, and electricity is produced at the same time. These dual-use systems solve a uniquely Israeli problem: how to generate more power without sacrificing land, water, or food security. Solar power disappears at sunset. This creates a problem. This is where wind power plays a crucial role. In northern Israel, especially in the Golan Heights, wind speeds often increase at night and during winter. That makes wind a perfect complement to solar. Israel's largest wind project is Genesis Wind, also known as Ruach Bereshit. It consists of dozens of large turbines spread across the Golan. Together, they produce enough electricity to power tens of thousands of homes. Another major site is Emek Habaka, which delivers hundreds of gigawatt-hours each year. These projects were not easy to build. Developers had to navigate bird migration routes, military radar concerns, and complex terrain. But today, wind power adds diversity to Israel's renewable mix. It reduces reliance on gas during key hours, and it strengthens grid stability when the sun is gone. Renewable energy creates a new challenge. Electricity is not always produced when it is needed. To solve this, Israel invested heavily in energy storage. The largest storage systems are pumped storage power plants. They work like giant water batteries. During low demand hours,
water is pumped uphill. During peak demand, the water flows back down through turbines, generating electricity. Two major facilities anchor this system: Gilboa near Beit Shan and Kokav HaYarden, the largest pumped storage plant in Israel. Alongside water-based storage, Israel is rapidly deploying battery energy storage systems. Large lithium-ion batteries are being installed near solar fields and substations. These batteries store midday solar power and release it in the evening. Storage turns renewable energy into reliable supply.
Electricity demand in Israel comes from three main sectors: homes, businesses, and industry. Residential users consume the largest share. Air conditioning, appliances, and electric vehicles all add to demand. Smart meters now allow households to shift usage to off-peak hours. Businesses and public buildings follow close behind. Extended operating hours and security-related infrastructure increased electricity use in recent years. The fastest-growing demand comes from data centers. Artificial intelligence and cloud computing require enormous continuous power. These facilities demand one thing above all else: reliability. To meet this demand, data centers are increasingly located near power generation sites, especially near solar fields and gas plants. Electricity is no longer just about lighting homes. It powers Israel's digital economy, industrial base, and water supply. And that makes the final question unavoidable. How does Israel protect all of this? Electricity infrastructure in Israel faces risks that go beyond weather or demand. There are physical threats, cyber threats, and the risk of targeted infrastructure damage. Because of this, resilience is built into the system by design. Transmission lines are increasingly buried underground. Substations are reinforced and digitized. Power plants are designed with redundancy, including dual-fuel capability. Another layer of protection is the rise of microgrids. In some kibbutzim and rural communities, local solar panels and batteries can operate independently. If the national grid goes down, these communities can switch to island mode. Water pumps keep running, communications stay online, essential services remain operational. This decentralization makes the entire system harder to disrupt. For the first time in its history, Israel is preparing to connect its grid to Europe. The project is called the Great Sea Interconnector. It is a high-voltage direct current cable running under the Mediterranean Sea. The cable will link Israel to Cyprus and then to Greece. When completed, Israel will no longer be an electricity island. The interconnector will allow Israel to export excess solar power during the day and import electricity during shortages or emergencies. It also connects Israel to the broader European energy market. Strategically, this turns Israel from an isolated grid into a regional energy bridge. Israel's electricity system is undergoing a historic transformation. Coal is disappearing. Natural gas provides stability. Solar and wind are expanding rapidly. Storage systems are turning intermittent power into reliable supply, and the grid itself is becoming smarter, stronger, and more resilient. This system powers homes, businesses, factories, data centers, and desalination plants. It supports economic growth, and it operates under some of the most challenging security conditions in the world. By 2030, renewable energy will provide a significant share of Israel's electricity, not as an experiment, but as critical national infrastructure. Israel's energy story is not just about technology, it is about survival, resilience, and adaptation, and it is being built right now across deserts, reservoirs, coastlines, and cities.